Welcome to Daily News Weekly, where we bring you the stories from the past week that you might have missed. I am your host, Michael Sheridan, and not only are we back in the studio this week, but finally got a new collection of ties. I kind of like this one. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I guess it's okay, but it's pink.
Yeah? So, it's pink. Nothing wrong with pink. A Florida woman in the middle of a nasty divorce feared for her life, so she took her husband's guns and gave them to police. Now she's facing theft charges. It all started when Courtney Irby and her estranged husband, Joseph, got into a yelling match after a divorce hearing, according to the Associated Press. After the yelling match, apparently they both got into their separate cars, and then, according to authorities, Joseph bumped her from behind and then ran her off the road. Courtney filed and won a temporary injunction for protection. Now, according to federal law, because of the injunction, Joseph cannot possess any firearms. However, it's up to the local authorities to enforce this, and Joseph basically was supposed to turn in his weapons. Courtney, however, didn't believe he would do so, so she took matters into her own hands. She went, she got the guns, and she turned them into police. And when she turned them into police, she was very open about what she was doing and why she did it. Police responded by arresting her and charging her with armed burglary and grand theft. Now, gun rights advocates are all in favor of her being prosecuted for what she did. Her attorney, however, claims that the charges should be dropped because she didn't steal the guns for any kind of personal gain or to do anything with them. She took the guns and gave them to police, which is what was supposed to happen anyway. Miss Irby was seeking help from the Lakeland Police Department and taking action to protect herself and her children. Prosecuting Miss Irby sets a scary precedent that if someone seeks help to escape abuse, they will be punished for it. What do you think? Does Courtney deserve to be punished for turning the guns over to authorities, which is what was supposed to happen anyway? Does it really matter how they ended up getting turned over to authorities? Isn't the point that they were turned over because that's what legally on a federal level, that's what they were supposed to do? You let us know in the comments below. A Pennsylvania man has been busted for making a really big bomb, but he claims he was doing it because he was saving the planet from aliens. David Oxenreider was arrested over the weekend in Myerstown, according to PennLive.com. Oxenreider, and just as an aside, that is the coolest name. I mean, it's like something out of Lord of the Rings. He called his building manager and explained to him that he had created a bomb. The building manager told him, well, take the bomb and put it outside, don't keep it in your apartment. Then he called police. Police showed up. They evacuated the building, they grabbed up the bomb and made sure that it wouldn't explode. Now, according to Penn Live, the bomb consisted of 2 tanks of butane, which were held together by some cloth, and they were put in a green bag. Also in the bag were metal staples, a hatchet, and a phone charger. Authorities did indicate that this bomb had exploded. It would have been significantly destructive. You know, I kind of get the staples, but the hatchet and the phone charger? It's a little strange. When questioned by police, Penn Live reports Oxenreider said back in 2014 he was visited by aliens. And he claims that they warned him that if the human race didn't start acting like, quote, good people, then they would attack the planet with a nuclear laser beam. Oxenreider claims he tried to warn people, but no one listened. So he created the bomb. Not to kill anyone, mind you, but apparently just to get attention. Now he faces charges of manufacturing a weapon of mass destruction, causing or risking a catastrophe, and terroristic threats. But hey, when aliens attack the Earth with a nuclear laser beam, don't say he didn't warn us. So last week's episode really pulled in a lot of comments. You guys were very vocal about some of the stories we talked about last week, so I just wanted to highlight a couple of those comments here. Now, last week we talked about New York State passing a law that would allow undocumented immigrants to get driver's licenses. This got a lot of responses. On Facebook, Stella Cerna wrote, yes, if they have no criminal history after background check, if fingerprints don't come back dirty, what's the problem? And Kathy Malone wrote, yes, I think it will make people safer. Otherwise, they will be driving without a license. And on Facebook, Pamela Stotz wrote, no licenses for undocumented immigrants. We also talked about how a store based in Arkansas was no longer going to sell the Confederate battle flag because of racism, as well as the increasing rise in the suicide rates. On Facebook, Maggie Joyce Rupert brought those two stories together into one comment, saying, perhaps the spread of hate, particularly on social media, has a lot to do with depression and feeling of isolation. Good remark. And on Facebook, Scott Barman asked, since you were working from home, were you wearing pants? I'm not wearing pants now. Well, looks like won. We talked about this lawsuit a couple episodes ago, but basically a clothing manufacturer with a logo that says FUCT took its case all the way to the Supreme Court after the U.S. Trademark Office rejected the branding of the logo because they said it was vulgar, because if you sound out the letters, it says the word. Did you do it again?
Yeah.
But the Supreme Court has ruled that the rejection was unconstitutional. Now, in all likelihood, this court victory is going to pave the way for all sorts of dirty-sounding names and brands. So get ready for it, ladies and gentlemen, because those infamous 7 dirty words and are all going to be on store shelves soon enough. George Carlin would be proud. A pregnant woman was shot by another woman in Alabama, and it cost the life of her unborn child. Now, the woman who was pregnant is facing manslaughter charges. The incident happened back in December. Marsha Jones got into an altercation with Ebony Jemison when Jemison allegedly shot her. They were reportedly fighting about the baby's father. Initially, Jemison was charged with the baby's death because she's the one who actually fired the gun that killed the child. However, authorities determined that Jones was actually the one who apparently instigated the fight, and because she instigated it, they're holding her responsible for the baby's death. The charges against Jemison were then dropped, and now Jones is being charged with the baby's death. According to the reports, it isn't clear if Jemison is actually facing any charges. According to authorities in Alabama, it was the mother of the child who initiated and continued the fight, which resulted in the death of her unborn baby. Now, women's rights activists are rushing to Jones's defense. Many see this as just an extension of the abortion fight, and trying to actually hold the mother responsible is simply part of criminalizing women for being pregnant. They're also raising the question of how far does something like this go? Can a woman be then charged for having a glass of wine while they're pregnant because it may harm the unborn child? Can a woman be charged for driving recklessly, perhaps, or speeding because they're pregnant? That pretty much anything a woman does that could potentially cause harm or do any kind of harm to the unborn child, would they then be held criminally responsible? And I suppose you could go even further with that. Could a mother be held criminally responsible if something they did while they were pregnant causes something to happen to the child that is only discovered later on? What do you think? Is it right to criminally charge the pregnant woman for the death of her child, even though she's not the one that fired the shot that killed the child? And on top of that, is it right that the person who actually fired the shot and actually was the one that killed the child isn't even being charged for it? All right, that's it, everybody. Thank you for watching. And if you got something out of this episode, please hit that like button down below. Share it with your friends. Love to hear the discussion. It's been a lot of great comments lately, and I really want to keep that going because I want to hear from what you guys think of the stories we talk about every week. And on a side note, earlier this week we posted a documentary about the Stonewall riots, and today is the 50th anniversary of those riots. And we really encourage you to check it out. The link to the video is down below. It's just a short documentary, about 12 minutes, that features an interview with a man who was there, and he talks about his experience during the riots, as well as a little context about what it was like at the time and what impact those Stonewall riots had on the gay rights movement. Thanks for watching. See you next week.